We took a quick look at the wide receiver room last time in episode 3, but the quarterback situation is one that's going to be very interesting. As you guys know, as we get closer and closer to the draft, there are 2 quarterbacks that stand out that are going to be top 5 picks, 2 in which are sensational and are being talked about a lot over NFL Network. That's Cam Ward, that's Shedeur Sanders. My thing is, every single NFL team has a quarterback situation, whether it is a positive or an extremely negative. As we have been doing with wide receivers and seeing which would make a team better, I would like to do the quarterback, but in a different sense. What I want to do is I want to make a tier list, and based on the quarterback situation, I want to see which teams are good and which teams are in dire need throughout that spectrum, obviously. So what we're going to be doing today is just that on the tier list maker. I hope you guys are ready. This is the Game Day Hour. I'm your host, Aaron. Let's get started. All right, so we're in the tier list maker. Basically, the way we're going to be doing this is teams that are safe are teams that do not need to focus on the quarterback situation anytime soon. They're pretty much set in stone. 2 years is like where a quarterback he's kind of okay in his position, but if he doesn't get things together, they can start making another move at the quarterback situation. 1 year is where I give this team this offseason a pass, but they should definitely be ready to attack the quarterback position next year. And now is now. And it's going to be hard to determine which teams are now, but I think teams that are in dire need of a quarterback change, I'll put there. But yeah, this is the rules. We're going to look at every single team. So let's get started. And what we're going to do is actually put every single team that is safe in the safe column. Philadelphia, Buffalo for sure. I think Washington deserves to be up there. Bengals for sure. Chiefs are no doubter. Packers, I'll give that consideration. Lions, for now, I'll give that consideration. Ravens for sure. And those are the only teams that I really think are safe. Now, I understand that I put Washington's rookie quarterback there. I think he's safe. At least he's giving the impression, because you see certain other teams don't have a safe quarterback position. Yes, I guess I will go with CJ Stroud as well. But that one just seems a little iffy because of performance last year. But overall, these are the teams that I will give the safe nods to. Now, let's take a look at the teams in which I'll give them 2 years to prove something. I'm going to give Justin Herbert. I know Herbert's a great quarterback, but with this new Chargers offense, it's really unknown where Jim Harbaugh is going to go with this. And since they already just cut bait with Bosa, who knows what Herbert's future looks like, but I'd still give him 2 years. He should really be up here. It's just that whole coaching change kind of switched how I feel about that. The 49ers, I mean, you continue to keep Brock Purdy, giving him weapons and proper protection. He is a really good quarterback in that sense. Dak Prescott, I mean, he had a big contract. He was a poor performance, and I'll give him 2 years before I think the Cowboys will really start looking to make a change. I almost gave it 1 year, but I just don't think that the Cowboys are ready to do that. Just off principle, I'll give Caleb Williams 2 more years. They need to have some momentum going into this year with new coaching, but I think he's safe for now. Baker Mayfield is going to be up there because I think Baker Mayfield has proven that he's a very good quarterback for Tampa Bay. He does need to take that next step though, but I believe that he can. It's just a really tough conference that he's in. Kyler Murray saved himself, and with the new wide receiver and new coaching, I believe that Arizona's trying to bring a little more fire to the table going into next year, and Kyler Murray, I think, secured his job for at least the next 2 years. I'd give him that. Pretty sure you put Bo Nix there because Bo Nix had a really good rookie campaign and took Denver to the playoffs for the first time since they won the Super Bowl in 2015, 2016 in that area. I think that you just got to continue to build around him. He's not set in stone because he didn't outperform like Jaden Daniels did, but he still did enough to get the Broncos back in relevancy. I think Tua is on his ropes now that Tyreek Hill is probably on his way out. I think that the Dolphins are looking at a pretty tough situation, and without Tyreek Hill most likely going to next season, Tua is going to have a year that he really needs to prove himself and stay healthy. Otherwise, that time starts ticking. Now, Miami needs to do a lot to, secure him for more years and just get better weapons around him. But for now, I'll give him 2 years of a grace period. I slightly put New England in there. And the only reason why I'm putting them in there is because now they got Stephon Diggs, which is, by the way, I would have never expected he would go to New England. Drake may have a chance to absolutely shine and cement himself as the Patriots quarterback going forward into the future. If he doesn't have a great year or doesn't show improvement, then he sits in the 2 year, you're going to start questioning him a little bit. But he has a chance to jump up to here. He just needs to take advantage of it. The JJ McCarthy show begins in Minnesota. He hasn't been sold as the starter, but I think in what I saw in the preseason, I think he can do it. I think he has what it takes. I just think that until he proves himself, he cannot be in the safe position just yet. So I'll give him 2 years to prove himself. And those are all the teams that I give 2 years, some in which is like they're rookie quarterbacks that didn't prove a lot, but still could have an opportunity to prove themselves, and some quarterbacks that I believe cemented themselves for just another few years. You could make the argument that Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers deserve to be in safe, or the 49ers, but I just think that right now those teams, it's not as stable as I think it is, or I think it should be, or most people think it is. I just think that they're in a really good position to move into safe, but this year I want to see just a blow up in production, and same thing with Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Now, teams that I think can hold off till next year, or at least, have given themselves this tiny grace period, include Indianapolis, which I think Anthony Richardson needs another year to prove himself. If he doesn't, you might want to start looking. Trevor Lawrence, I think that Trevor Lawrence had a really good year a couple years ago, made the playoffs, didn't have the greatest record, but got to the second round, lost to Kansas City, and then all of a sudden barely missed the playoffs and then tank. I want to see if he is going to stay in the tanking form and then the Jaguars need to cut bait and move on, or if he just had a really bad year and it is just this year he needs to take that step forward and compete in the AFC South once more. I think Carolina secured their position for a little bit. I mean, Bryce Young had a pretty good ending to last year. It wasn't the greatest ending, but it was better than how he started it. So he gets the 1 year grace period. I'm pretty sure the Raiders are just going to sit with Geno Smith for now. The Jets, obviously they got Justin Fields, but Fields is on loose bait. He just, despite his talent, he's not been given fair opportunity, except for in Pittsburgh, but then, they benched him for Russell Wilson. I think with the Jets, there's just a lot that has to be proven in this 1 year, and it's not going to be easy. You're playing for the Jets, but they did get a new coach, so we'll see how that goes. Michael Penix gets his opportunity. I'd give him more years. It's something about the Falcons offense seems like it's just sporadically changing and changing and changing. So Michael Penix, with everything that he has at his disposal, should have himself a really good year and compete in the NFC South. If not, the Falcons may try to look elsewhere. Obviously, Stafford is staying again, but I say this, as a person who respects what the Rams are doing, get ready to look for a quarterback next year and have the replacement to Stafford ready. You're safe this year. This is not one where you can improve to 2 years. You got to have some kind of replacement ready to go when he inevitably retires. Seattle got Sam Darnold, so Seattle's safe, but still, it's Sam Darnold, and he was only given 1 year in Minnesota. He did really good, but then the playoffs just crashed out, had a very poor performance in the last game against the Lions, and then against the Rams in the playoffs. So Seattle, they have to know that this isn't a set-in-stone piece, but rather, let's see what he got, and if he proves himself, then, give him another year, but I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. The New York Giants, I think, secured their spot. Now, they can still go for a quarterback in the draft. My position is you're spending money on Jameis Winston and then you're spending money on Russell Wilson. So you're for sure good this year. I only give you 1 year because if Wilson and Winston do not get you anywhere, then you will cut bait and move on, probably going into the draft. You probably get a quarterback next year, or you're still going to try to go after Sanders. In this case, you can say you can put him in now, but I don't know. You made 2 moves to your quarterback position. I just don't see why you'd waste a pick on a quarterback after making those 2 moves, so I'll give him 1 year. The Saints, they kept Derek Carr. He has a really good wide receiver core on him. I mean, they just got Brandon Cooks to go along with Olave and Rashid Shaheed. They have a really good core. Problem is, Derek Carr is he's playing on very limited time. And because of that, I believe that this year they're going to go with him, but then they're going to start looking for the future, because I don't think Derek Carr is going to get you to the Super Bowl. He may get you a playoff appearance, but in a division with Tampa Bay and a rising Atlanta, he is on certain time, and if he can't push through, then I think the Saints will cut bait and move on. And this basically leaves Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Tennessee that are in desperate need. As we are speaking, I don't know what's going on. Right now, it's the Thursday morning, the day before this episode is supposed to come out, or it comes out Saturday. The Steelers still haven't made a move to get Aaron Rodgers, and even if they get Aaron Rodgers, is that going to be a set-in-stone thing for a couple years? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 year? They need to either get Rodgers now or look into the draft. And you still have Jackson Dart there. I don't think many other teams need quarterbacks desperately. I would say certain teams that can definitely draft a quarterback in that position. You have the Raiders. I doubt that the Raiders will give Geno Smith a backup, but rather actual weapons or a running back. So I don't think they're going to go after a quarterback. And they're the only team that I think would be threatening to get Jackson Dart. But I still think the Steelers need to go get Aaron Rodgers, use him for a year. I mean, you have such a great core. DK Metcalf is there. George Pickens is there. You got to use it. The Browns, I mean, yeah, you lost Winston. You still have Deshaun Watson, but no. I think that for the Browns, I mean, they still have Deshaun Watson. They lost Jameis Winston to the Giants. Is Deshaun Watson your quarterback for the future? I just don't think so. There's too much drama. He has that bad injury. It was just a signal that it was time to move on, and I think the Browns will. And then the Titans, you know, they hold the number 1 overall pick, and their current quarterback is Will Levis. I do not think they are going to pass up on a Cam Ward or a Shedeur Sanders. I understand there's tempting pieces like Abdul from Penn State or Travis Hunter. I get those are tempting, but the Titans, you guys need a quarterback. I don't think Levis is it. He had a very nice introduction midway 2 years ago, but then last season he played terribly, and I can't ignore that. Go after a quarterback in the draft. That's probably the most urgent team. And that basically leaves this kind of tier list of quarterbacks in which their situations, the teams that need quarterbacks or don't need them. I believe Pittsburgh needs to go in the free agency, while the Browns and the Titans need to tempt the draft or free agency itself. As for the teams that I'll give them 1 more year, Anthony Richardson. As for the teams I'll give another year to prove themselves, Anthony Richardson, Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young, Geno Smith, Justin Fields, Michael Penix, Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, or Jameis Winston, and Derek Carr. Their teams are probably going to give them just 1 year to do something. For the teams that have 2 years and their quarterbacks, Herbert, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Caleb Williams, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Bo Nix, Tua Tagovailoa, Drake May, and JJ McCarthy. Those teams, I think you should give them a 2-year grace period to see what they're going to do and either cut bait or extend. They're close to safe, but not quite. And then, of course, the teams that are safe and their quarterbacks, you have Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, and CJ Stroud, I think are pretty safe. Stroud is kind of in this middle core, but I'll give him safe because he does have a great wide receiver core around him. And that is the current quarterback situation for each and every team. And that'll do it for today's episode. I know it's a short episode, but I didn't think this was one that needed to be long and in-depth. This was just kind of a look over to see what has happened. There has been some moves in between now and then. Stephon Diggs went to the Patriots, and the Giants got Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, which is just interesting, but I guess they have secured their quarterback position. With free agency still going on, Aaron Rodgers is still there. Who's going to pick him up? Most likely Pittsburgh, in my opinion. You still have Tyreek Hill out there. There's a lot of big names still left in free agency, and the draft is just a month away. I hope you guys are excited for that. As we get closer and closer to draft day, I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on draft prospects. I think that's what I want to do with the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and if you do, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe, and go follow me on all my social medias. And thank you for the support. It's been great. This season has been a little bit of a wobbly, but a great start. So I hope you guys have a great day. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.